Live edition of the Field of 68. This is the DTF Podcast. Yes, it is the Doster, TO, and Fanta Podcast. We are live here 11 a.m. on Wednesday, June 28th. I have John Fanta with me. I have Terrence Ogles with me. My name is Rob Doster, and we have a lot to get to. It's been a while since we talked to you guys. We got to talk about Kentucky's. They're getting some veterans. They got a couple fifth-year guys coming in, Trey Mitchell, and one fifth-year guy coming back in Antonio Reeves. We got to talk about Jahvon Quinerly. We got to talk about Jordan Brown, who just committed to Memphis. And of course, I'm going to get Fanta's definitive list of the best July 4th songs and the best foods for a July 4th barbecue. But before we get into any of that, guys, the big news of the last week in college basketball was none other than Bob Huggins. On Friday night, about 10 days ago, he got pulled over for a DUI. We all know the story by now. He blew up .21, and it ended up costing him his job. They hired.
How hammered is .21?
Very hammered.
That's hammered.
Very hammered. Yes.
I've never taken a breathalyzer test, so I have no idea.
That's probably like blackout, borderline blackout.
Is it really?
Blackout. Yeah. Wow. He didn't know what city he was in. He didn't know what city it was. But look, we don't have to rehash the details. I do want to talk about this though. Josh Eilert was hired to replace him. Tio, I'll go to you first. Where you stand on West Virginia's decision to bring in an assistant coach who's been with the program for more than a decade, and where are you on Bob Huggins and his career ending?
I'll start with the coaching thing first. I was a little shocked that they didn't do Everhart and have him be a part. I think part of that is they want to give a new guy a chance. Maybe Huggins had some influence there to give a guy who's been loyal for 10 years, 13 years, however long he's been there, give him a chance to really coach. And I think that's a cool thing that the university did. The reason I'm shocked that it was him as opposed to Everhart is because Everhart's been a head coach before. And really at this point in a year, what you're really trying to do is keep this train on the tracks. Because if you look at their roster, at least before all these departures, that was a borderline top 25 roster in college basketball. And you were kind of wondering, hey, how exactly is this all going to play out? Well, now we're seeing how it's going to play out. Trey now leaving to Kentucky, and they've been able to hang on to a couple of pieces, but there's going to be a few more leave. I think that's the most surprising thing. I am happy for a young coach to get his opportunity. I think that's awesome. And then to go with Bob Huggins and his legacy and what he's done, I've talked to a couple of former players. James Flight White, for those who remember, played for him at Cincinnati. And he was one of these guys that raved about Huggins and the kind of person and kind of coach he was and how much he cared about his guys. This is a coach with a complicated situation, but this is also a coach that did a lot of good for a lot of people. That all being said, he won a lot of games. This was probably as bad of a 3-month stretch as a guy in the spotlight could potentially have, not named Charlie Sheen. So it's like one of these things where, the problem is drunk driving is never good, ever good. And a bigger problem with it is a lot of times if there was a wreck or something, it's not usually the person that's been drinking, it's the other person that did nothing. So that's you're not just putting yourself in danger, you're putting somebody else. The comments that he made earlier this year, also fairly brutal given today's current climate. But some of these basketball coaches, they live in a hole. So who knows if he could really gather how much what he said mattered at the time. That all being said, it was still bad. His legacy, as far as I'm concerned, has been dampened a little bit with this end, but this is a guy who took some rough guys and put them in good situations to succeed. It's almost like he knew it was almost time to retire and he found a way to do it without him doing it, if that makes sense. And kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy of sorts. And I know you guys don't necessarily agree with me there, but I think he was getting close, and it was a matter of, how exactly is this going to work? And it's tough. Now, I do think this put a damper on his career, but giving the previous, 35, 40 years, however long he was in it, he's done a lot of good, but this last 2 months has almost been unforgivable.
Yeah, it's a disastrous end. It is an all-time fall for a legendary figure in college sports history. Because when you think about these figures, college sports is defined by coaches. Coaches define eras. They define what a school is. Whereas in the NBA, it's a player-run league. The players drive everything. When we talk college football, when we talk college basketball, you're going to start with the coaches because that coach is going to have the best shot to lead school X to success. Nobody matched their school quite like Bob Huggins matched West Virginia. There's a synonymous nature to leader and school. Had I asked you guys a year or two ago, well, do you think that West Virginia would ever grow stale of Bob Huggins and do? Of course not. You would have said, "Are you crazy?" There's no way, shape, or form that he goes out on anything other but his terms, which was coming down the pipeline. Anyways, that's what's so sad about this, T.O. and Rob, is that this was going to happen at some point. He was going to retire. He could have had that dramatic walkout in Morgantown out of the tunnel for his final game, and you could have seen all his former players, whether it be West Virginia or another school. Bob's the type of guy, he's got relationships with everybody. Do you imagine the other players from other places, Cincinnati, and so on, that would have come back for him? So it's a really unfortunate, disastrous downfall, and it was sad to watch all that play out. And I hope that Bob does whatever he needs to do to get the help that he does need.
I want to say one thing, Fanny. You said that it was a little bit of an unfortunate situation. I think that there was a nature of, it was lucky in a sense. And the reason I say that is that if you're driving at 0.21, right? If you are that drunk when you're behind the wheel, if you are drunk enough that you are blowing out tires and you don't know how you blew out the tires, that you have Burger King in your car, you don't remember how you got the Burger King from 30 minutes away, that you think you are in a city that is 3 hours away, you're drunk enough to kill somebody behind the wheel. And given that he already lost a job prior to West Virginia because of getting a DUI, I think it's safe to assume that he probably didn't get arrested for DUI the only 2 times that he drove drunk, right? So he's lucky that the worst thing that happened was that he blew out a tire and he lost a job at 69 years old.
Sure.
So I do think that in a sense, Huggins is lucky that the worst thing that happened was he lost his job. Now, I do just want to say, like, his daughter, I don't know if you guys saw her rant that she posted on social media, where she basically just said, "My dad is an alcoholic." I was texting with a buddy of mine, who got sober about 6 years ago, right? For a lot of different reasons. But the main one was that when he would drink, he basically just couldn't control it. And I'll read the text that he sent to me. He said, "I can confirm after lots of research that normal people don't drink like Bob Huggins drinks. Normal people don't blow a 0.21 when they are getting behind the wheel. That's not something that you're going to do if you don't have an issue with alcohol." And I can say pretty comfortably that if alcohol has caused you to lose 2 jobs, right, that paid 7 figures, if your inability to control your drinking has led you to get multiple DUIs and has basically torpedoed your career, then you have a problem with alcohol. You have a problem with drinking. So I hope that the bottom line is, to me, the bigger stain on him, T.O., is is what he said in that radio interview. Because I just think that I hope he gets the help that he needs to be able to curb the alcohol abuse, because I think that is something where a lot of us kind of have to look in the mirror and say we have part of the charm, part of what made Huggy Bear was you could sit at a bar with him and drink until 3 a.m. Right? That's part of his charm. And I think it may have been something where it allowed a lot of people to enable behavior that maybe wasn't the best behavior in the world. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think people enjoyed being around him. I would, I want to say this as eloquently as possible without, the driving drunk thing scares me more than some language, because then feelings are hurt as opposed to potentially killing somebody.
No, that's what I'm saying is this, like, I think that has more to do with a drinking problem. And I think that, addiction is something that's very different than a choice of life. Does that make sense? Like, I think that addiction is something that is a health issue as opposed to just being either way. We don't have to go into that direction. Let me ask you guys this. When it comes to hiring the interim, do you think they made the right decision to, I think the interim's wrong, but when it comes to hiring the assistant, did they make the right decision to bring them in as opposed to going out and getting a big name coach? Fanda, we'll go to you first.
Well, I don't think interim is the wrong term, because they put in the release, they put in the headline of their release that they've hired Josh Eilert as their interim head coach for the 2023-24 season. So that should tell you what their vision is in this process. The fact is, if you're looking at West Virginia's lens, they see Josh Eilert as a one-year option here in an attempt to try to keep as many of the roster pieces together. But you combine that with the fact that you're conducting a search on June 21st, June 22nd, June 23rd. There's no roadmap for this. There's no roadmap to conduct a coaching search at this stage of the year. Why limit your pool of candidates for the West Virginia head coaching job, which is a very good job in college basketball with NIL resources? You are the act in town. Okay, you've got a great brand. You compete in the best conference in college basketball. And I think that when you look at Ren Baker's viewpoint here as the athletic director, he had to make some phone calls to people that he was interested in. And based on reporting and based on what we've seen, there at least were a couple of, man, I built a roster over the last 2 months. I've been working tirelessly with my staff. I'm finally getting towards my vacation. I like the job, but due to all the circumstances right now, I'm about to do this, that, I got these plans. Can this wait 8 months? Can this wait 9 months? You know what? Let's do that. So I agree with the decision to have Eilert be the interim. I'm happy that he gets the opportunity. I wonder, T.O., if Ron Everhart just maybe didn't have the appetite for filling in his boss's shoes and taking that on in these circumstances. But you know what? I think this is the right move by West Virginia. With a job that good, why would you limit your pool of options for the long-term future? The best option for West Virginia's long-term program future was to wait until next April to find their permanent head coach.
Can I push back on that real quick before we go to UTO? The only counterpoint that, and I don't disagree. I'm just going to play devil's advocate here because I think that there's valid arguments on each side. But what I would say is this: if Josh Eilert gets West Virginia to like a 21-10 record, well, if he gets him to a 21-10 record, right? If he gets him into the NCAA tournament and he wins a game, like, you're probably in a spot where you got to give him the job. And
a la Texas.
Yeah, a la Texas, a la Wichita State. And look, I love Rodney Terry. I think that he's going to do well there. But I think that Texas is also in a situation where they're saying, like, if we had this job opening, Rodney Terry wouldn't be the guy that we wanted to hire. I think you can say the same thing about Wichita State and Isaac Brown. So you're just risking putting yourself in a situation where instead of having the interim for 1 year, if he has success, then you probably got him for another 3 on the end of that. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's kind of the only drawback is if you would have gone Everhart and he had a good year, you could have been like, well, it didn't work out at Duquesne. It didn't work out, elsewhere. So I think it's, what's the guy's name? Eilert. How do you pronounce it?
Eilert.
Like, good for him. I mean, he's my age. He's been at it for a long time. He's been at that university for a long time. Good for him to get this opportunity. But you do kind of run into a situation where it could potentially be like, oh crap, we got to hire this guy and Andy Kennedy might want the job, or, oh crap, we got to hire this guy and Pat Kelsey wants this job. So it might take a little bit. We got to see how it plays out, obviously, but that's kind of the the bad portion to all this, or not bad, but the kind of the situation you put yourself in just because of it. And I can understand some of these other guys not wanting this. Like Dusty May, like what? Think about him. Why would he leave FAU right now after he's been able to keep that roster? Yeah, to keep that roster together.
He can't leave. Dusty can't leave.
That's right. Well, that's the thing. Like, but if they would have offered it to him in April, Dusty could take those players with him. So then you're in a little bit different of a situation. So I think timing is everything. They're going to have their pick. NIL is great at West Virginia. There's a huge fan base. It's the only show in town. Like, football's fine, but they love basketball in West Virginia. It's a heck of a job. I would say it's a borderline top 20 job, college basketball, just with all the recent additions to what they can do from an NIL perspective, the fan base, that, and the third, plus being in that league is huge.
Yep. All right. Let's talk about the transfers heading out, because Kirk Carissa into the portal, came back. Joe Toussaint entered the portal and is still in the portal. There's a couple other players that are not as big of names that have left the program and have entered the portal. The biggest one, Trey Mitchell, entered the portal. And the second he entered the portal, I think we all kind of heard the same thing, right? Kentucky. So, Fana, since we spent 2 hours talking about Kentucky yesterday.
I was about to say, you guys are the most popular guys in Lexington.
Yeah, hey, look, you know what? They hated us, but now they love us, right?
I don't know about that. I don't know if they love us. They grew to like being okay with us.
They grew to tolerate. They grew to tolerate you.
Tio, one guy called in and said that why do I want to hear about Kentucky basketball takes from Drew Carey's sister?
How good is that?
That's a pretty good one.
You know what's good? When you get insulted, and we all have gotten the heat. Like, when you get insulted, you can laugh at it. That was funny.
Yeah,
that was funny. That was a good one.
Yeah. I've had some too. I can't think of them.
Yeah, you're bald.
Yeah, it's easy. But you got to be creative. You can't just come out and be like, "Yeah, shut up, you're bald." And
you're the less athletic of your spouses.
That's right. That is a fact. Apparently,
it is funny when people jump in the comments and have something to say about CZ Binance and Bitcoin.
Yeah, how about that? That was a good one too. Yeah. That one worked.
Yep. All right, Fana, give me your take. Trey Mitchell, Antonio Reeves. They are both going to be on the Kentucky roster next year. There may be another freshman that is committing here soon, but now there is actually some veteran presence there. How much does this change Kentucky?
Well, we have Kentucky commenters on YouTube today, and they're actually fighting with Memphis fans, which we love. Maybe we'll talk about Penny Hardaway at some point in this hour. Why not? Here's the thing. I love it. Frankly, they needed it. Kentucky needed this. If Kentucky does not get Trey Mitchell and they don't have Antonio Reeves return, the offseason is viewed as nothing but a failure, in my opinion. Because 18-year-olds can't do it alone. They can't do it by themselves in today's college basketball climate. I don't care how great they are. In Mitchell, you get a guy who turns 23 in September. He'll be the oldest guy on the team. He's seen it all. It is his fourth school in 5 years. Now, sometimes there's two sides of that story too. But this is a guy that in the Big 12 averaged about 12 and 6 or so. He'll provide length. He'll serve a role. He'll start. Antonio Reeves is a guy who had 20-plus points in the NCAA tournament against Providence. Yesterday, Big Blue Nation was questioning if he would start next year. He will start. Because you need him. You need him badly. You needed his perimeter shooting. The fact is, Aaron Bradshaw's status is up in the air heading into this season. This foot fracture injury, it gets everybody concerned. And then you start to wonder, T.O., if his circle will get concerned about him playing in a college basketball space when he's got a great pro career ahead of him. Robert Dillingham, DJ Wagner, there's questions about how all that pans out. In Mitchell and Reeves, on a team with questions to answer, Kentucky got a couple of guarantees in experience and some perimeter shot making. This is needed, welcome news for John Calipari, and it's a nice charge of momentum here in late June.
I think Trey Mitchell's a fine player. He's not Oscar Tshiebwe. Let's
You're
be
right.
about it. I think Trey Mitchell's a fine player. He's not Jordan Brown, who just went to Memphis. So, like, let's keep it in perspective. He's a good player. They need a veteran presence inside that's going to talk and do all those little things that you would hope would foster some winning. This is not this uber talent. He's not Oscar. I hate to say it. He's a good player. He's not Oscar. Antonio Reeves coming back is huge simply because they need that space. Is Reed Sheppard going to be able to play early in his career? And quite frankly, I think he can play. Is Cal going to let him play? So that's a big thing too. We all know that shooting is not necessarily a prerequisite to playing time for Cal. So the roster makeup is still interesting. I wonder if is there anybody left? Can they get anybody else? Like that's kind of
I don't I don't think that they necessarily need anybody else. And I don't think there's anyone else in the portal that makes a ton of sense. Obviously, like getting Jahvon Quinerly would help because he's a guy that is a proven starter in the SEC. But I don't know if you want to add another piece in there that's going to block the path to minutes for DJ Wagner and Robert Dillingham. I said this yesterday on KSR. I think what this addition does is significantly raise the floor for Kentucky, right?
yeah.
Without these 2 fifth-year seniors, there's very real like the bottom could fall out disaster potential on this team if Aaron Bradshaw's injury ends up being something that forces him to have like a Nick Smith kind of a year, right? If DJ Wagner and Robert Dillingham can't fit together, if there's not enough spacing for Justin Edwards to be able to get to the rim, it could be a mess without those two. With those two, you got a floor spacing big that averaged 12 and 6 in the Big 12. At minimum, he's a guy that is going to be a double-digit scorer, going to get some rebounds, going to take up 25 to 30 minutes on the front court as a solid piece, good enough piece. Antonio Reeves averaged 15 a game in the SEC last year. He's not a point guard, but he is a floor spacer, and he is a guy that can go out and do things like get 37 like he did against Arkansas last year. This makes you not have to worry about the adjustment of the freshmen as much early in the season. It takes some of the pressure off of them having those two guys there, and you get two guys that can space the floor. I think that these are nice additions. Neither of them are stars. I don't think that this necessarily makes Kentucky anywhere near a preseason top 10 team. I'd have them in that like 19 to 22 range. I don't know if you guys disagree.
I can see that, yeah.
But it allows you some time to be able to let DJ Wagner figure it out, let Robert Dillingham figure it out, let Justin Edwards figure it out, and let Aaron Bradshaw get to the point where he's fully healthy. And I think that that's what you needed more than anything else. So they're going to be good. I think they're probably 5th in the SEC, but that's better than, they could have been 10th in the SEC.
Behind Tennessee, Arkansas, Texas A&M,
Alabama.
And Alabama. Interesting.
And then I wonder who's going to slow these guards down when it gets out of hand sometimes, because we like Robert Dillingham. He's a competitor now, but he's 5'11", $150, dripping wet. Like he's not the biggest guy. DJ Wagner, like, is he a pure point guard? Neither one of those guys are in the mold of like an Eric Bledsoe or a John Wall, which I think that's going to be the first inclination when you have these highly touted kids. It wasn't a great class by and large. These are still two very, very good players. I'm curious to see how that goes. I've always been a big proponent of the settle down guy. Who's going to be the guy to calm you down? Is Antonio Reeves going to be that guy? He's going to bring it up the court for him. Like he's going to have to a little bit. I can assure you he will a little bit, but like
he's going to bring it up the court and he's going to fire it with 8. He's a shooter, T.O.
Yeah, I know that, but you're going to have to get somebody to slow him down a little bit. I'm curious to know how it goes. I mean, DJ's a very good player. He's not like, I remember when his dad came to Memphis. Like, Fanta, I think you were like 6 or 7 years old when that happened. But when his dad came to Memphis, like his dad was a bull.
Hey,
like,
did I ever tell you
my had shoulders like this? Like DJ's not quite built like that.
Have I ever told you my DeJuan Wagner story, T.O.?
Well, he scored like 1,000 points in a game.
Well, we played him in an AAU tournament. Like we had a pretty good AAU. We had a kid go to LaSalle. We had a bunch of kids go D1. Tim Abromaitis, who played at Notre Dame, was 2 years younger than me in the program. You
guys were the Atlanta Timberwolves of Northeast AAU basketball, and if you were on the scene, you'd know what I was talking about. Like a bunch of mid and lows, and then you have some other guys sprinkled in. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
like it was. We were good enough, and so we play DJ Wagner's team at a hoop group event. I want to say it was at Villanova. I can't remember if it was Villanova or West Virginia. We went to one of both of them. but it was like the group play, right?
Yeah.
And so we play him, and like DeJuan doesn't show up in the first half, and we're playing his team. We're hanging in there. We're down by like 7 in the first half, and I think we're down by like 8 at halftime or something like that. Like we're close. We're keeping it respectable against the team with a bunch of dudes. And he shows up at halftime, right? Shows up. He's got like the Timbs on untied. He's got like the jean shorts over the. Remember how guys back in the day used to wear jean shorts over their basketball shorts,
just in
right?
case.
Just in case. So he takes off the Timbs, he takes off the jean shorts, he puts on his basketball shoes, checks in, puts up like 35 in the first 8 minutes of the second half. We're down by 30, checks himself out, and leaves before the game is over. And I was just like, okay, you know what? That is a different level of basketball player than I can ever be. I need to take a reality check right here. Maybe media is my my avenue in life.
Yeah. There were guys who can do that. Like Tyreek Evans could do that.
Just a freak, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, go ahead. Finish your point.
Certain guys are different. I already forgot it. Don't worry about
it. All right. So Fanta, what is real quick, give me 1 minute on the ceiling for this Kentucky team with Reeves and Mitchell.
Well, I think that they are a preseason top 25 team, somewhere between like 22 and 25. I don't think they're a top 20 team. I think there's still too many things for them to figure out. I think a lot of what their ceiling depends on is whether or not Aaron Bradshaw is good to go.
Yeah.
Because John Calipari has said that he believes that Bradshaw, before they return, of the freshmen, he believes Bradshaw could be the best shooter of the group.
Who said that?
John Calipari. Those are his words.
Best shooter of the group of DJ Wagner, Robert Dillingham, and Justin Edwards. So he's not exactly saying that he has like a bunch of guys that are going to be in the 3-point shooting contest.
That already tells me he's already forgotten about Reed Shepherd.
Yep.
Right.
He's already forgot about him. So like that scares me a little bit because Reed can play.
Well, exactly, Tio. And I think that the question then is like, we felt this with North Carolina last year of playing time, and maybe certain guys should have gotten a look or an opportunity that did not. I know you had strong feelings about that, but the fact is that I always wonder how you manage the freshman class from a standpoint of how much are you willing to go through some growing pains with certain guys that just need some time. But the best thing that could be is to play them, to give Shepherd the opportunity to make some shots. I don't know about that. This comes down to Bradshaw and his health. If Bradshaw's foot fracture lingers, has lingering effects, and causes him to miss significant periods of time, and causes him to be in a situation where it's like Nick Smith of Arkansas this past year, as you brought up eloquently yesterday, Mr. Doster, then I don't know. Like I get very cautious with what I think that they're going to be. Do I think that this is a team that can make the Sweet 16? Well, there's a pool of about 35 that you feel like could do that in today's college basketball. So yeah, maybe. But do I think that this is a Final Four team? I don't think so.
Can I just throw out that I think Aaron Bradshaw is going to be a better pro than he's going to be a college player?
Yeah.
I think you're right.
You want to know why?
Because Cal's going to put him on that dunker spot.
Yeah, that's probably. Why. But there's two big X factors for this team beyond Aaron Bradshaw. And by the way, real quick, T.O., do you know who reps Aaron Bradshaw?
Rich Paul
and Clutch. Okay.
So he's going to be staying at the beach house that Nick Smith was staying in last year.
That's what I was about to say. Do you know who repped Nick Smith? Rich Paul. Clutch. Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. To me, there's two X factors beyond Bradshaw's foot. One is like, what do these freshmen end up being? How good is Justin Edwards really? What is the level of development for Dillingham and Wagner?
They're very good.
Like do they buy into
they're very good freshmen, but like you're playing against 30-year-olds now in today's college game. Like
do they buy into the idea that like you need to kind of be De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk? You need to kind of have like complementary roles, or do they both kind of overlap and try to do the same thing and cancel each other out? But I think that the ceiling is there. Like if all those freshmen end up hitting their ceiling, they're going to have a chance to be really good. The other thing, and I said this yesterday, Fanta, like is Cal going to run some offense that isn't from like 2007? Like, is he going to get creative at all? Is there going to be anything new? Because when you look at it, in the best case scenario, you could have Antonio Reeves, who's a really dangerous guy running around screens. You could have Trey Mitchell, who is a 6'9", 4/5 that can make threes, and Aaron Bradshaw, who's a 7-footer that can make threes. Like, you can get really creative and space the floor and have some fun, different looks offensively. And I just don't trust him to actually do that. Like, to me, that's the biggest thing with this team. I don't trust him to do it.
But here's the thing so I think, and T.O., I'd be curious to get your thoughts on this, of course, Rob, too. Like,
we don't care about Rob's thoughts.
We do. We care a lot about Rob's thoughts.
No, I'm Fana, I'm the host today. I don't have opinions. I'm the host.
Yeah.
Right?
There you go. I messed that up.
You don't have opinions? No. So here's the thing. Here's my thing.
Fana, there was a joke that I was going to make right there, but I'm just going to let this one slide. I'm just going to let it slide.
We'll talk about that at Pete's Jam. So T.O., like, do you think that because Cal said this, he said that the personnel that he's got coming in will allow for him to play the way he really wants to play.
You know what's funny? I was about to make that point. Like, this roster that he's put together with these young players are kind of where he's had the most success.
Right.
Like, dribble drive.
Doesn't that make you chuckle, Terrence, just because, like, you're in control of that?
Yeah, I think they got caught behind the 8 ball because they were like, shit, we got to get old. And then he was getting a bunch of good college players that were good in offenses. Like, he tried something different, didn't really work. And now he's going back to what he's comfortable with. That was kind of going to be my next point. Like, yeah, you're right. He was in control of it, but they were getting beat by teams that had a bunch of old guys. So he's like, well, why wouldn't I just go and pick out the oldest guys I can get with the best stats? And you look at some of those guys, like, you know, Severe Wheeler was really good in a certain system. Like, CJ Frederick was really good in a certain system. Well, you know, some of these different guys, like Oscar Sheboy obviously had success, but not necessarily the rim protector that he's had at the 5. I feel like this group is more along the lines of what he's used to. And while I don't believe that it'll be the deepest team he's ever had, sometimes that's a positive, because now the guys that are in that locker room know who's going to play. And there's not really a whole lot of debate whether this guy should be playing or shouldn't be playing. I came here for this, and then this is happening to me. Like, they're getting some 3- and 4-star guys here on the back end of this recruiting cycle. And I think sometimes it's not necessarily a bad thing to have a clear pecking order and to have guards that can really create with Wagner and Dillingham. So the only thing is they're so young in a college game right now that's really old. That's literally my only issue with this roster.
Yep. And I do think that there is the foundation for some kind of interesting long-term 3- and 4-year guys in someone like a Reed Shepherd, and someone like an Adu Thoreau, and someone like Ugana Onyeso, I think is how you pronounce it. I always struggle with names, so don't mind me if I got that one wrong. All right. I do want to pivot real quick because I do want to talk a little bit about some of the most recent transfers. We're gonna get to Jahvon Quinerly in a second, but we had people in the chat asking about Memphis, and I do think it's interesting to discuss Memphis because they just got a commitment from Jordan Brown. They've gotten a commitment from Caleb Mills, a transfer from Florida State, who T.O. I know you really like. They got a commitment from David Jones, who has been a guy that has averaged double figures in the Big East for 2 different programs the last 2 years, and like that's kind of it. They pretty much turned over everything, right? They got basically a brand new roster. I know that they are in the mix for Quinerly, but where do you stand right now on this Memphis program? T.O., since you are the Tennessee guy, we are teeing you up on this one.
First of all, you know, Memphis is Memphis. Let's keep that in mind. Like, Memphis is Memphis and the rest of Tennessee is Tennessee. So, no, you know, they're good. They're old again. Guys, I mean, like, when are they going to take that step? That's kind of the thing. Are they going to get to the second weekend? I think that'd be great. Gosh, it's a lot of turnover. Mikey Williams, you know, is he going to show up? Like, I don't know what to think about Memphis. It's hard to really think about Memphis a lot of times because you don't really know. I think Jordan Brown's a really good player. He's huge. Like, he's huge. He's a good player. He's got good footwork. You saw what he did in the NCAA tournament. He's a solid player. They added some interesting pieces. Caleb Mills can't shoot outside of 15 feet, but if he gets inside of 15 feet, he's deadly. There's pieces there. David Jones is a solid player. He's a hard playing dude. He's kind of along the lines of a DeAndre Williams, just not as big and is not a good shooter. So it's like they're fine again. They're just fine again.
So I do think that they could use another piece, and there are rumors swirling about the possibility that they could be getting that other piece in Jahvon Quinerly. We will see if that happens. Nothing's done. Nothing's set in stone there.
Hey, we just got something in the YouTube chat. If DeAndre Williams comes back, dude, is he coming back?
They're applying for a waiver right now to try to
that
get
is
a
asinine.
17 year. He's going to be 27 years old.
That is asinine.
He's older than Fanta. He is older than Fanta, and he's still playing college basketball. Fanta's been a professional in the sports media business for like 7 years, and DeAndre Williams is older than him, and he's going to come back. You know who's praying for this? You know who's praying for it? Shout out to John Martin. Memphis radio host John Martin wants nothing more than DeAndre Williams to come back.
You know what?
He's older than Penny. He's older than Penny. Him and Penny were in the same graduating class in middle school.
HKN Music says DeAndre only played 4 seasons of college ball.
Shut up, man.
He's 27 years old.
Did you just turn DKN's music down?
Man, I tell you what, his music, I'm sure his music's good, but dude, come on, man.
It's not about his age, Terrence. He deserves those seasons like everyone else.
Those five seasons. He deserves those 5 seasons. He's going to be in college for a decade.
Oh, man.
Come on.
You know, so they're I'll be curious, like, being in the American, all right, you're kind of you're in an interesting predicament because they add Florida Atlantic. So you're far from the best team in the American. FAU should be right now they're paid to be a top 10 team in the preseason. I think part of that's all the momentum. I don't think they're a top 10 team. I think they went on a magical run, and so you get pegged there. But they're going to be stacked. They're going to be really good. But like Memphis, it's interesting because that conference now is kind of a mystery as you get deeper and deeper into it. It's not great. So
Memphis is not better than FAU, HKN music. They're not.
No, HKN, they're not better than FAU. And there's certainly, frankly, they're not tougher than FAU.
No.
And they're not more experienced than FAU.
Hey, they might be with DeAndre.
Hey, do you want to
Williams.
settle this argument? Who won when FAU played Memphis last year?
Yeah. Memphis fans would say we were right.
What does FAU bring back? Everything. What does Memphis bring back?
Not much. Maybe an old man.
Maybe 37-year-old DeAndre Williams.
You know, I like the transfer haul. I do. And Jordan Brown was a really nice kid. I mean, that's a guy who averaged 19 and 9. Shot 57% last year for a Louisiana program that made the NCAA tournament, mind you.
And he was the key cog to everything they did.
Right.
Too.
So that's a really nice addition. You know, kind of honestly, I don't think it's getting as much buzz because it's so late. This offseason has never ended. It's never ending college basketball offseason. There is no such thing. It's late June. It's great for us. We're talking about it all the time, but there's always stuff going on. You know, when I look at this haul, like, could Caleb Mills be a guy that pans out and delivers and steps up for his team?
That's what you're betting on. You're betting on Caleb Mills and David Jones being like dudes, right? And Jordan Brown being a dude. They
might be dudes in the American.
Yeah. Think about it like this, right? Let's say they get Jahvon Quinerly. You got Jahvon Quinerly, he's 25 years old at the point. You got David Jones, who is, I believe, going to be in his 4th year in college, correct? You got Caleb Mills, who is also, I believe, in his 4th year, right? Transfer from Houston to Florida State.
Is he? I think he might be his 5th year because, yeah.
So you got 2 old wings right there. Both of them can get buckets outside Jahvon Quinerly, who can really pass, assuming they get Quinerly, right? I think that's kind of where the swing here, right? We'll talk about Quinerly in a second. If DeAndre Williams ends up getting another year. You put him at the 4 next to Jordan Williams at the 5.
He turns 27 in October.
You got a lineup whose average age is like 23 years old that has like roughly 25 years of college experience combined. That's not a bad team. That's something that could do a lot of damage in the American. But it's assuming you get Quinerly to commit and you get DeAndre Williams to commit. I want to talk about
I was in my 6th year of professional basketball when I was his age. And I'm not, that's true. So, like, come on, man. Go do something. Go do something.
That's a little bit of I played professional basketball for 6 years.
Come on.
I'm Terrence Oglesby. I played professional basketball for 6 years.
But he could go get a check in Belgium or something. Like, dude, get out of here. It's time. Get out of here. I know they don't pay as much as FedEx, but like, come on, baby. Let's go.
Yo, you didn't have a professional career.
No, I didn't. You're right.
Well, no, you know what it is, Terrence? It's because you lost in Houston at the Papa Shot. So now,
dude, Doster's running with that one, isn't he?
Hey, you want to hear something funny? The comment of the year in the chat was Tony Yayo said Doster played basketball ? And somebody from the Field of 68 account responded, not very well. I don't know who that was. It was either Dagan or Trevor. Dagan is out here dropping bombs. All right, let's talk about Jahvon Quinerly. I want to talk about Jahvon Quinerly because I think it's a really interesting discussion point because he is a grad transfer, right? But he did not announce his intentions to be a graduate until I believe it was June 25th when he actually made the decision. Now, there were rumors and there were rumblings and there were assumptions, but he did not decide to transfer until late June. And he didn't need summer credit. Like, he was already This wasn't a situation where he was taking summer classes to make sure that he was able to graduate before putting his name in the portal. Are you guys okay with this? Like, is this something where, because I understand both sides of it, right? But are you guys okay with that decision? T.O., you got a look on your face. I'll go to you first.
Yeah, I mean, here's my thing. I think it's lost in this whole mess. Like, I think there's a few too many Stetson Bennett's where they go to school for a long time and they don't graduate. Quinerly did his job. He graduated. Now it's his choice to go pick where he wants to go to grad school. I know I'm kind of going against everything when I say that. However, he did his job. He got his degree. And I'm not necessarily against it.
I guess my bigger question is the timing, right? Because there's the deadline for players to enter the portal that are not grad transfers is, I believe, May 13th. And he knew that he was going to be a graduate and waited an extra 6 weeks. Are you good with that?
Yeah.
I
don't really have much reason why or why not, but yeah, I mean, it's fine.
Are you going to be okay with a grad transfer that goes on a tour with their team in July?
That's messed up. I think you should be locked in then.
Okay.
You should be locked in. Your final roster should be locked in then.
Okay.
Because they don't go in July, do they? They're going first week of August.
There are some that are going in late July, some that are going. I know that, like, I need to get Mike White on the phone, and I am waiting to get him until after they go on their foreign tour from July 20th to July 29th. They're going to Italy, by the way. I'm going to try to find a way to tag along on that trip. Mike,
Antonio Reynolds Dean in Italy. I want to see it.
Mike, if you need someone to come along to cover that trip, look, just bring me along. I'll show you all the spots in the Amalfi Coast. It's very nice out there. Fanta, if you have not planned your honeymoon yet, the Amalfi Coast. It's nice.
We have planned the honeymoon.
Where are you going?
September 3rd to the 15th or 16th. Rome, Florence, Venice.
Oh, good.
Oh, great. Look at you.
Italy, baby. Italy, it's happening.
I like that.
It's happening. We are heading to Italy. So my one request is I want you guys to get creative and do a show while I'm on the honeymoon. And I want to see who can fill in and be the guest analyst.
the guest Fanta. Fake Fanta. We need a fake Fanta.
I think that Kevin Willard's wedding gift to me should be that he has to do an hour.
Would anyone be able to tell the difference between T.O. and Kevin Willard?
That's where the problem lies. Like that's the problem. You can't do that, and you can't have me and Chris Mack on the same show either.
Nope.
Because people think like it's that Spider-Man meme where it's like they're pointing at each other.
Oh no! That's what I want. I want Mac to fill in. Mac,
Oh, boy.
let's get Mac away from the sports books and into the podcast chamber for 1 week.
All right, let me ask you this, Fanta. When you do honeymoons, when you do vacations, are you
this is only my first honeymoon, and it will be my only honeymoon.
Well, no, I'm saying like when you do vacations, when you do like big
Let
trips,
you know what kind of marriage that's going to be.
My dad's divorced and remarried. When I called him and told him I got engaged, he goes, "This is awesome. It's a once in a lifetime moment." I thought,
is it twice? Could be like my uncle, 3, 4, 5 times. Nobody knows.
What's the most? Wait, hold on. Before you ask me my question, what's the most times you've known someone married? Like, do you have a buddy or somebody that you know that's got married 3 or 4 times?
None of my friends have been divorced. Most of my friends like just didn't get married until like the last 5 years. It's true. Like a lot of my friends waited for a long time to get married.
What was your question? When I'm planning honeymoons and vacations.
So when you're planning a vacation, are you the kind of person that is looking for just like the relaxing? We're going to sit at the hotel. We're going to sit on the deck. We're going to go out to get a nice meal. Or are you the type where, okay, we're going to Rome. We got 4 hours in the morning to see this. We got 4 hours in the afternoon to see this. We got to check up all the touristy bucket lists. Like, who are you?
Okay, so if for a vacation, all right, I am head to the beach, put the phone in the hotel room, keep it in the safe or wherever, and just exit the world and just be on that beach all day. As long as one could possibly be. If there's a bar, get a nice margarita or a daiquiri or a pina colada and just hang. I'm a low-key vacation guy. We did 2 or 3 nights in Clearwater back in May. Literally turned off from the world for 72 hours. It was amazing. The honeymoon, I've never been to Italy. My wonderful fiance, Victoria, has. So and her last name is Rizzo. So she wants to show me the country and show me things. So that'll be a little bit different because I've never been. And I'm genuinely looking forward to seeing all the different things and seeing the Vatican and seeing the Colosseum and all those great things and trying a Florentine steak. Normally for the vacation, I just want totally low-key island guy like Terrence down in Atlantis.
Is that you, T.O.?
Low-key is a relative term when you have children.
True.
Right. I don't have kids.
So, like, low-key is argue a little bit to see who's going to take the children. And then whoever loses that one gets the kids, or whoever wins it gets about 30 minutes before mama's wanted or daddy's wanted. So no, I prefer a low key thing. I do like to go out and have a couple beverages, but it depends on what the context is, obviously.
Yeah.
What about producer Trevor? Trevor, are you awake? What kind
of All right, since we're on that topic, Fanta, we discussed this a little bit yesterday. We didn't get all the way into it. July 4th is coming up. It is next Tuesday. So as we're recording this, it is 6 days away. I want your ideal. You're at a July 4th barbecue. What is your ideal spread?
Okay, so real quick, I'm burgers and dogs guy to answer your question. But I'll never forget my first contract. I signed in Naples, Italy, and I lived there it was all 2 months, and they started handing out fake checks. So we never actually got paid, the whole team. I played, we took a boat out to an island that was
Capri.
We went to Capri. It was me and my buddy. We went to Capri, and you can go into this cave where it's like super blue water or whatever. It's like all sweet and romantic. And like I went out there with a teammate, a guy named Dragozad Drobniak, and we didn't know like this was kind of a romantic setting. And like it was just the most awkward, weird thing ever. But he needs to go to Capri. If he can make his way out there, it'd be great.
I've been to Capri. Capri is very nice.
And it's very expensive. But
yes, when we went there, it was like I was expecting it to be like this really cool, beautiful, touristy kind of thing. And you walk down the streets, and literally it's just like Gucci store, Fendi store, Prada store, and I'm just like, I don't think I can afford to be walking. Am I allowed to be on the street?
Did you go up to the top? Did you go up to the top of Capri?
Yeah. Oh man.
There you go.
This is my 4th of July shirt. It's
Are
got
those firecracker
fireworks.
popsicles? Firecracker
Yes.
popsicles.
Bomb pops, man. Bomb pops. What is the firecracker popsicle? Bomb pops.
I wear my bomb pops. I've got
They say firecracker on the front of the box.
No, they say bomb pops.
That's a wild statement. That's not true.
What is it?
All right.
Go ahead. Sorry, Fanta.
I have to put this
Can't
on.
bring T.O. anywhere.
I got to put this on the 4th of July. Yeah, you got to do the hot dogs and the hamburgers for the 4th. Although last year, my future father-in-law deep fried a turkey.
I remember you saying that.
For the 4th. I know you're thinking Thanksgiving. You know what? It turned out to work. It is Americana. It's Americana. But you got to grill your hot dogs and your hamburgers. They deep fried some crinkle cut fries as well. Now that's what I'm talking about. I love the 4th of July. Now, Peach Jam's happening next week. I'm not sure when you guys are leaving, so I'm traveling on the 4th of July, which I'm not exactly. Firecracker popsicles.
No, that's not those.
They're bomb pops.
Those are
It's literally popsicle.com.
That's the knockoff version, dude.
Popsicle.com.
Where do you get those? At Aldi?
At popsicle.com. You get them at popsicle.com.
No, that's not. They're called bomb pops. Google bomb pops, then apologize to us, okay?
I'm sitting here. I'm looking at the box.
I don't know what you guys do down there in South Carolina, but if you really know it, real ones know that those are bomb pops, not firecracker popsicles.
Sorry,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry about our co-host Fanta. Please finish your statement.
Well, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not sorry. I'm thankful. I am so thankful that our eyes have been able to be laid on this amazing photo of this hunk of a high schooler that came out yesterday. Robert Dahlster. What year was this taken? 1938?
I have
black and white photo of you. It's absolutely incredible. Cue it up, Trevor.
The mid part, the flannel button down. Like, I look so 90s, man. I'm killing it. No one can be more 90s than me.
Everything's coming. It's coming back. Everything's coming back anyway.
Yeah, right.
So you're actually back in style.
It looks like I look like Tom Crean is what I look like with that hair.
You do look like Tom Crean. What did this allow you? You actually look like a character from The Outsiders, or like you look like a greaser kind of. You look tough. Like, did this allow you to get girls? Was this a popular thing?
I think I was 13 in this picture. I don't know where the person that found it, but I'm pretty sure that is my middle school yearbook photo from when I was.
Is it the same hair gel that you have now?
No, that stuff was called LA Looks. That stuff was bad. I think it gives you cancer. It's not good. I think it gives you cancer. That was about the same time that I was in a punk band in middle school. Yeah, you guys didn't know that, did you?
Oh, come on.
Yeah. Called the Televangelistas.
Sugar Ray and Rob Dahlster coming in hot.
Pretty much.
You were in a punk band?
Yeah.
Did you play an instrument?
I definitely wasn't the singer.
Were you the drummer?
I played guitar.
Wow.
Slap at a bass.
Could you get on a guitar right now and play?
Not a lot. I'm no Matt Norlander. Let's just put it like that.
Rob's that guy that whenever you're at a campfire with all your buddies, bust out the guitar.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Hey, one college hoops related nugget.
All right.
This morning.
Yes, let's talk about that.
Paul Mulcahy is on a visit to Xavier. And there's a belief that's growing that maybe Sean Miller could be able to pull something off here. He certainly could use Mulcahy. He brought in Quincy Oliveri, who he really likes, can score the basketball at a high level. Brought in Davion McKnight. But I think that the thinking for Xavier, and at least from what I understand, their pitch to Mulcahy is, hey, you could come be that tough Xavier guard that can serve a role, that can start for us, that can come in and set the tone defensively. And, oh, by the way, you want to win at a high level? We went to the Sweet 16 a year ago. So it'll be interesting to see how the Mulcahy recruitment goes. He's still out there. He's a notable name. a pass-first guy. Xavier's got scores. Zach Fremantle's coming back. There's not a lot of guys that can average around 18 to 20 points a game, and Fremantle does.
Hey.
Hunter's back. Desmond Claude should take a leap. Watch out here. If Xavier gets Mulcahy, watch out.
I have Desmond Claude as one of my breakout players. Did you guys see that the ACC SEC men's basketball challenge was announced?
I'm excited about that. That one made so much more sense than the ACC Big Ten. Not that there was anything against it. It was just more so like people in the ACC talk shit all the time about the SEC. People in the SEC talk shit all the time about the ACC. Regionally speaking, they're a little closer. I think it's going to be it's going to make for a good challenge over 2 days.
Let's roll through some of these matchups. We have LSU at Syracuse, which a little bit of a snooze fest. Missouri at Pitt could be interesting and good bubble game. Mississippi State at Georgia Tech, snooze fest. Notre Dame at South Carolina, probably a snooze fest. Miami at Kentucky.
That'd be a good game.
Be interesting. Nigel
Great
Pack,
game. Great game.
Norchad Omier, Wooga Poplar, breakout player. Remember that name?
Really good player. Really good player. Hey, South Carolina will be better.
They can't be worse.
They can't be worse, but they'll be better.
They can't be worse.
That's right.
NC State is playing at Ole Miss, and Clemson is playing at Alabama in a game of what is that? A rematch of the 2021 College Football National Championship.
Yeah, and they played a couple of years ago. No, wait, they played. What was it? 2 years ago in the Holiday Hoopsgiving. We used to play Alabama both years I played. We played Alabama.
Big chance.
Clemson will be good. Clemson will be good
for a statement win for you.
I love night two. The first game listed on night two. I love this matchup. Go with it.
So night two, Tennessee at North Carolina.
Oh boy. Are the Tar Heels going to put up a show? Are they going to be able to deliver at home in Chapel Hill? Will we see Armando Bacot and RJ Davis and this new look core be able to step up? Or will Tennessee just out tough, out defend, and have too much for the Tar Heels? I love this game.
I really like the next game after that one too. Texas A&M at Virginia. That'll be a good game. Buzz has got those guys rolling a little bit. Good guard play for the Aggies. Virginia, we'll see. That'll be a good game.
I kind of think Virginia we're sleeping on them a little bit. No one is talking about them at all, and I don't.
That's because they put us to sleep, not because we're trying to. It's just they're scoring 30 points a game, and they put us to sleep.
Yeah, I don't think that they're winning the ACC or anything like that. But Reese Beekman and Dante Harris is a pretty good backcourt. I think that the mid majors that they brought in, Jordan Minor was a stud playing for Merrimack, best player in that conference. Andrew Rohde was averaged 17 a game as a freshman in the Summit League. Jacob Groves, good high major wing, can shoot it a little bit. Tane Murray, Isaac McNeely, both solid pieces. But the guy to watch out for, T.O., back me up on this one. Ryan Dunn. Big time athlete, big time player, a guy that I think has a chance to be a pro down the road. I have him. I have a list of 11 guys that I think are going to be the breakout stars for this season. I've mentioned 2 of them already. Ryan Dunn is the third one on that list.
I think McNeely you can throw in there too.
Yeah.
Ryan Dunn might not be. You'll see 6 or 7 a game. I think the following year.
Next year.
I think the following year.
A year away from being a year away.
No, that'd put him as a senior, wouldn't it?
I don't know. I just like that.
No, I think his junior year he'll be a really good player. I think this year he'll be long, active defensively, shoot the ball okay. Elijah Gertrude's a good player too, but freshmen don't typically play for Virginia. But
all right, let's finish rolling this out. We have Florida at Wake Forest, which could actually be an interesting kind of a bubbly kind of a matchup. Virginia Tech at Auburn, Georgia at Florida State, Boston College at Vanderbilt in the least exciting game in the history of college basketball. And we can end it with Duke is heading to Bud Walton Arena to take on Arkansas in a rematch of, was that the 94 title game? Grant Hill senior year, right? 94 Final Four?
Might be.
Big Nasty, Corliss Williamson. Shout out to Pat Bradley.
Yeah.
It was 1994. Very well done.
Nice. Duke at Arkansas. Are you want to be ready for a building that is going to be melting down? I might try to find a way to get to that game, man. That might be one of the best environments of the season. Duke going into Bud Walton? Come on now.
I've never been down there.
Bud Walton.
I would love to get to Bud Walton.
Yes,
that place is rocking on television.
All right. What's the date?
Wednesday, November 29th.
Yep. Right. If we go down there, I got to make sure to bring. We'll bring Clint Sterner with us. He's the king. Yeah. The king of.
Man, what a nice guy Clint was. Yeah, man, he was great at Final Four. First time I got to.
Yeah. He joined. I don't know how many beers deep he was, but he was outstanding.
Yeah, he's a treat. I got to send you guys. It's the greatest thing in the history of Shoot Your Shot Productions. He did a read for Manscaped. I don't know if I've sent this to you. That is just absolutely unbelievable. I'll tweet it out for the people that are watching right now. I'm going to tweet it out as soon as we're done here. And I do believe that we are done. Unless Trevor, you got anything else? You got any other random embarrassing pictures of me that you found? We're done. Okay, we can go. Listen, this has been fun. This has been the DTF podcast. It's been a month since we all kind of hung out and chatted, and it was the first time that we did this live. Maybe we'll do it again. Maybe we'll sucker producer Trevor in here to make it happen. But for Terrence Oglesby, for John Fanta, for the one and only Trevor Release, my name is Rob Doster. We'll see you guys again